Hey everybody, November 2025 promises to be a fascinating month as we're going to have Mars, Mercury, and the Sun in the sign of Sagittarius. Mercury is going to go retrograde and Jupiter is going to go retrograde, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So we're having some sort of major redirect, returnaround, redo, reevaluation and and making sure that we're in alignment because Saturn is also in retrograde and Saturn's going to go direct at the end of the month. So Saturn and Jupiter are making this beautiful trine, Mercury in retrograde. Now, all three of these planets are going to be in retrograde, making sure that we reevaluate, we go back and we redo something from the past that we've left behind, need to redo, need to learn better, or need to integrate more in our psyche before we can go forward when Saturn stations direct at the end of the month. All right, here we are at the beginning of November with Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius. Mars is going to oppose Uranus before it moves into Sagittarius here in a day or two, which will cause some sort of upset, possibly it can be a volatile, sudden violence, sudden upheavals, and it can be a shock and awe energy, crisis energy, and degree point of Scorpio. But other than that, the month looks beautiful after we get over that hump. But Mercury is going to start going retrograde here on the 9th, and then Jupiter follows in retrograde. And Jupiter is making this beautiful trine to Saturn, and the Sun will join that trine. Venus will join that trine in the month of November, which is a beautiful backdrop of harmony, calm, peace, blessings, intuitive intelligence, connecting, reflecting these energies because we've got all this retrogradation with Jupiter in retrograde, Mercury in retrograde, Saturn in retrograde. And then with that Mercury in retrograde, we're going back, we're reconnecting with people that we need to reconnect with, that are really a part of our future, that are a part of our Dharma. Sagittarius is all about our Dharma, being on our calling, being on our purpose, following a destiny, following a destined path. And then Jupiter is blessing that with long-term opportunities and abundance and expansion. But when it's in retrograde, we're really reevaluating and we're integrating what we have learned so far and really leaning on what we've learned and really seeing if we've learned it on a psyche level, that it's integrated as a part of who we are now. Planets go direct, we learn a lot. Jupiter direct, Jupiter retrograde, we go back and we discover what we have learned, what is real, what is solid in what we have learned that we can really lean on and use for our own personal expansion. So, Jupiter retrograde, ruling all these planets in Sagittarius. The Sun's going to go into Sagittarius in the 21st of November. And Mercury will be retrograde back into Scorpio, forming another opposition to Uranus, which could bring another deep secrets, revelations, people from the past coming in. Mercury retrograde, we're reevaluating people from our past, choices we made in the past that were not necessarily put us in the right direction. People we left behind that are part of that are really supportive of our true dharmic path that we need to go back and reconnect with. Ideas, projects that we may have not felt strong enough to do or courageous enough to do. Because remember, we have a Jupiter who is ruling all of these planets in Sagittarius, squaring Chiron, giving us the courage and healing us to be initiators and to start these dharmic callings and missions, or shall we say purposes, or what we're here to do, which is going to bring the world into a better place. When we follow our dharmic path collectively, we make heaven on earth, basically. So Jupiter and Saturn is making this beautiful trine, blessing us with opportunities and rewards, you could say, from the squares that happened before with Jupiter Saturn square, where we're now starting to see opportunities in the results of our efforts that will solidify and stabilize an abundant future for us, right? But with this retrogradation, we have to go back and fix something or reconnect with someone or redo a project or come back and reevaluate something we believe. Maybe we have a new belief system. Maybe we can do something now with our new belief, with that Jupiter squaring Chiron. We have the faith in it. Now we can go back and take on a project or take on a relationship or an idea. Go back, retrieve this this good thing that is going to improve our lives and expand our lives. And now we're going to bring it back into our journey, our forward destiny. And then when Saturn goes direct here at the end of the month, it really takes us forward on that, with that new aligned, shall we say, things that we retrieved from the past, people, ideas, projects. And then we're bringing them with us forward. Now, Jupiter's going to stay in retrograde. Mercury's going to go out of retrograde in December. Saturn's going to be out of retrograde in December, but Jupiter's going to continue its retrogradation, which means we're continuing to draw on what we have internally learned, and we're continuing to integrate wisdom, knowledge, experience. And it's a long retrogradation, but it is in its abundant sign of Cancer, so it shouldn't block abundance. It should continue to feed us abundance. Only we're really leaning on what an internal wisdom that we have developed in the last. Well, all of this journey began in December 21, 2020. So we've learned a lot. We've gained a lot of wisdom in our experience and in our learning. Jupiter is about learning and growing consciousness and awareness. So we've made a lot of new awareness, new knowledge. So now when Jupiter goes into retrograde, we then apply it. We then see, did we really learn something, or was it only head deep, or did it change who we were? Now at Jupiter retrograde, we see that it has changed who we are, and we now act from that internal place of knowing rather than external. So we have two lunations, as always, every month. We're going to have a full moon in Taurus on the 5th of November. And that is going to be a super abundant full moon, 13 degrees of Taurus. Super abundant full moon. Anytime you're going to get the moon in Taurus, we're really going to get some nice harvest, especially a full moon. We're harvesting. We're reaping the rewards on a full moon. We're seeing the results of some sort of a nice, abundant, strong, stable, long-term results from some sort of effort that we may have seeded in the new moon in May. So we're seeing sort of the harvest of that, and it looks very abundant and sort of we could say it's a very rich produce with a lot of nutrients, nurturing us to continue on this highly supported path that we're on by the universe, feeding us lots of richness. And then we're going to have a new moon in Scorpio on the 20th. And the new moon in Scorpio on the 20th is pretty intense because it's at the end degree point of Scorpio. So it's like kind of a crisis degree. So for some people, this could be a situation of sort of intensity, upset. But there's a crisis often at the end degree point. But again, it depends on your own personal chart, if it's giving you a harsh angle, but if not, it's a really beautiful new moon where we really clear old fears. With this Saturn, Jupiter trine, it's really supporting our forward momentum. By this point, Saturn is still in retrograde, but we're really finding some deep clearing, some purging of transformative of the fears, some deep fears that have been holding us back from taking our nice path, because it really does. This new moon is a part of that water trine, which brings us into a harmonic flow towards our destiny, a stable new future. So we're really breaking through some sort of deep fear, inner fear that's blocking our destiny with that new moon. And so this is a new moon, a new beginning from a newly healed, or shall we say, purged, brave, the end of that, because whenever you get to the end degree point, Neptune is making a trine to Neptune. So it's sort of some sort of a blessing as a result of having done some internal transformative work. We now have a new seed, a new beginning from sort of fresh soil. So very fertile new moon. And so that takes us pretty much to the end of the month there. Saturn stationing direct, I'm going to go into all the 12 signs now. Saturn stationing direct is going to bring a lot of forward momentum on top of the retrograde energy. So we get a nice, Saturn's been in retrograde, so things have felt possibly pretty blocked and slow and heavy. So then when Saturn starts moving direct, we start to feel it's a slow build momentum, which is really going to take strong traction in February when it goes into Aries. So we're realigning in these energies, getting back, making sure we're in the right path, in the right Dharmic destiny, with the right people, the right projects, the right ideas, so that when Saturn goes direct, we're in alignment, going forward with those things. And again, this is all with a reflective, with the month beginning with this retrogradation. We're really connecting with our higher selves, our souls, and really connecting with what our soul is here to do. And we're just finding the path forward, clarifying that path forward this month. And it will go very strongly forward by the we'll start to really feel a momentum start to build by the end of the month. All right, have a wonderful month. Namaste. All right, Pisces, this is an interesting month. Look at all the planets in your first house. You've got the nodes there, Saturn and the Neptune. So you're going through quite a lot of recalibrating who you are, and you're becoming somebody who's going to be very much more responsible, and you're creating a lot of long-term financial stability for yourself. Now, the month starts out with this Mars opposition Uranus, and Mars will move into your 10th house of career and into the sign of Sagittarius on the 4th, where you'll feel very reinvigorated, very motivated. There could be some sort of surprising opportunity or situation that shows up with that Mars opposite Uranus there in your ninth house before it goes into your 10th, where you suddenly have to move. It could be bad news, it could be good news. Uranus is, if it does aspect your chart, then it could be that in a negative way, it could be that you're evicted and you have to leave, or in a positive way, you suddenly are given an opportunity to travel and it's a part of your dharma and you have to up and move. Or if you're not really feeling it this strong, it could just be surprising knowledge or information about your family and a shift in perhaps a conflict in your family around beliefs. A truth is revealed. Now, this Mars opposite Uranus lasts about a week. When Mars enters your 10th house, Uranus will also enter into the third. So it's sort of moving away from each other. But Mars in your 10th house brings a lot of revitalized energy and motivation and drive, inspired action in the sign of Sagittarius, which is awesome because it is also, by the way, at the end of degree of Scorpio, which is intense, is a part of the grand water trine. So if anything negative does happen with that opposition to Uranus, and you have to sort of, it's a crisis in action, and you have to take sudden um, make sudden adjustments and take action to do that, it does put you in a very positive situation. It is a blessing in disguise as it blesses. It is part of the grand water trine, blessing your ruling planet in your first house. So it is a breakthrough that spiritually liberates you and sets you much more onto your true dharmic path. So go with the flow. And then we're going to be seeing, now we're going to look at this full moon Taurus that's showing up. Now, let's also talk about your grand water trine. It is hitting in your Dharma houses, and it's about who you truly are and who you're here to be and how it is that you're here to express the divine creation in you. Pisces are super spiritually, very empathic, wonderful, watery flow people. And now your sign is being blessed with this beautiful water trine, your ruling planet in exaltation, which is also about to go retrograde. So let's get to these retrograde energies now. So Mercury in retrograde in your 10th house, and then Jupiter will go retrograde a couple days later in your fifth. So we're looking at creative collaborative projects coming in from the past, and or let's just say it's a creative work project or a person that you used to work with comes back and you reconnect and you work together again because Jupiter is in your fifth house going into retrograde. So friendships, connections, collaborative people from the past can come in. That really blesses your career. Relationship or a relationship from the past comes in that turns into a committed marriage with Mercury in your 10th. If you're already in a good long-term, you're in your stable relationship, then it could just be like I say, a friendship or a collaborative work partner. If you're a musician, which a lot of Pisces are, perhaps it is a new bandmate coming in, and you have a new band, but they are people, they're not new, but it's someone you know from the past that you now is a part of your future, is supposed to be in your band, kind of a thing. Now, Jupiter squaring Chiron during this grand water trine is actually really giving you a lot more self-esteem and brave or confidence to charge what you deserve to charge, or just really seeing your value, believing in yourself more, empowering you to step forward on your creative ventures. All Pisces are creative, spiritual, psychic, intuitives, watery, empathic types. And these are reflective energies. Again, this is the energy to really reflect on what you truly desire and to really become clear on what your dharmic path is. And this opportunity that shows up will put you on your dharmic path. If you're not clear about it at this point, when these things show up, it becomes very clear. Then we're going to have Saturn stationing direct at the end of the month, where you're going to see this dharmic path really create long-term stability for yourself. You're going to see the future or the momentum developing that gives you the feeling of long-term stability and financial success. So this is great. That's going to happen at the end of the month, but we're going to talk a little more about that in a minute. So now we are, and now Jupiter has been in direct in your fifth house, which has been teaching you, because when Jupiter is in direct, you're learning a lot. Jupiter was teaching you, one, who your true friends are and helping you collaborate with very, very abundant long-term potential creative contracts, um, creative collaborative people that you are that you would have learned a lot from. And now that Jupiter's in retrograde, you're really embodying this. You've really integrated these lessons. It's really now more innate how to work with certain people, and now with Jupiter retrograde, Mercury retrograde, people coming in from the past, perhaps you didn't know enough at the time. You've learned enough, learned a lot more about collaborating in creative ventures. So now you're ready now for your true dharmic, creative, collaborative people connections. Could also be a divine partnership, a true love relationship coming in from the past, from a past life, if you've been in separation from someone. So this is a period where you're going to get to exercise all that you have learned in your creative house here, and collaborative. So now we're going to move, and again, all of this stuff is lining you up for when Saturn stations direct in your first house. You're going to discover that you've grown a lot, you've cleared a lot of karmic patterns that have not been good for you, to self-destructive ways, and you're going to start seeing that you've really matured and grown and learned a lot, and you're going to start feeling like your financial future is starting to stabilize here. When Saturn moves closer to that second house, it will transverse or transit into your second house in January. And then in February, you're going to feel very like a long-term stable financial new structure is you're feeling very bold and confident about it. Now, let's get to the new moon of Scorpio. That's going to be in your ninth house on the 20th, where you suddenly up and travel, or um, I want to get the moon there, but I think, can I get the moon there? Yeah. So you suddenly up and travel. Now, this again is opposing Uranus, but it is also part of the grand water trine, trining your Neptune. So this is almost like a dream come true, opportunity, new beginning in travel or in learning, teaching. Um, and this involves, again, your talents, your gifts, your dharma, what you've learned, what you've been working on and developing in the last 5 years since Jupiter, your ruling planet, and Saturn met on 2020. Sorry, December 21, 2020. And so now you've learned a lot. You're starting to really integrate what you've learned, and you're starting to become that person that just now is the new version of you that you became with what you learned. And then, this is a really exciting time, because Sagittarius is Jupiter, I'm sorry, Jupiter rules your first house, and it's making this awesome trine to this new moon. So this is a very abundant, auspicious month for you, where you're really aligning and you're being very blessed by this water trine, and you're aligning in your dharma, and you're going to start seeing some strong forward momentum when Saturn goes direct, but also even more so when Neptune stations direct, which I think is in January. Neptune stations direct. Oh, well, Neptune goes into, I'm sorry, that's Uranus. Wait a minute. Neptune, gosh, I don't know when Neptune stations direct, but I think it's January. So anyway, wonderful month ahead for you, other than that first week with the opposition of Mars in your 10th house, again, with it opposing Uranus, there is a chance that you quit a job. But again, so many beautiful opportunities are opening up for you with this grand water trine. Is all for your higher good. Have a wonderful month. If you would please like and subscribe if you haven't. And if you would like a personal reading, feel free to contact me at soullevels.com. Thank you. Have a wonderful month. Namaste.